You realize you're in a war with alcohol. But what's really alarming is that you can see that you're losing. So it's natural to look for allies, and who better than someone who has seemingly won the war and has long-term sobriety, and more importantly, actually enjoys the life they now have. But you're a different person. If you do what they did, does that mean you will also stay sober? Are all recoveries the same? If you're considering quitting alcohol or newly sober, this video is for you. In it, I'll explain why every recovery from addiction is the same, and why they're all drastically different as well, and why understanding this can help you navigate those bumpy roads of early sobriety. I'm Dr. Donald Crowe. Welcome back to Second Act Sobriety. For over 40 years, I practiced emergency medicine, and nearly every day I had conversations with patients struggling with alcohol and drug use. But 28 years ago, I tumbled into recovery myself. And since then, I've continued those conversations, but now with a much more personal perspective. Not long ago, a young man in early sobriety asked me two questions that cut right to the heart of what we're talking about today. First, do you even remember what early recovery felt like? And second, is my recovery going to look like yours? Those two questions are simple, but they expose a paradox at the center of recovery. It's both profoundly individual and yet remarkably shared. So today we're going to tackle that issue head on. We're going to answer the question, do all recoveries look alike? Stick with me because the answer just might reshape how you see your own journey. Let's start with the obvious. No, recovery isn't the same for everyone. Your age, your job, your family, your background, all of that makes your journey uniquely yours. But here's why I created this channel and why people keep showing up to these conversations. Because despite the differences, there are phases, chapters, and milestones that almost every recovering person can relate to. Enough shared experience that we can learn from each other and make this path to a satisfying life a little easier to walk. For instance, let's back up even before recovery starts. Across decades of conversations, I've noticed three pre-recovery phases show up again and again. One, the questioning phase. Everyone I've ever known in recovery reached a point where they paused and asked, is my drinking really a problem? That little spark of doubt, that crossroads moment, marks the beginning. Two, the willpower trap. Almost universally, we try to wrestle the problem into submission by ourselves. We marshal all our willpower, string together a few days or weeks, only to watch it crumble. And three, the secret struggle. We minimize, rationalize, and we keep it all under wraps. Outwardly, our life may look fine, but in the quiet moments, we know the truth. Something is wrong, and it isn't going away. Not only that, it's getting worse. Those three experiences show us something important. We aren't dealing with a bad habit. We're dealing with a medical condition, a disease that makes continued use of substances that create intoxication inconsistent with the life we're seeking. This pre-recovery phase of someone battling the disease may last only a brief time, but usually lasts much longer, in my case, decades. Finally, the last straw is reached, and the need to change can no longer be denied. So, you make a commitment. You've put the drink or the drug down. Now what? Here's where recovery starts to look eerily similar across almost everyone, regardless of the demographics they fall into. First, they experience a withdrawal syndrome. Anyone who has become chemically dependent on alcohol goes through it. The body, stripped of this substance, revolts. Sleepless nights, the sweats, shakes, anxiety. The symptoms may vary, but they represent the same storm, the body in turmoil. And everyone who's ever been there is left wondering if it will ever end. Spoiler alert, it does. Next comes what those of us who have been sober for a while call the pink cloud phase. Once that storm of physical withdrawal clears, something surprising happens. Hope, energy, joy. For the first time in years, you feel good. Colors seem brighter. Food tastes better. Mornings seem welcoming. and a voice whispers, maybe I can really do this. Old-timers don't discourage or mock. It's real. It's powerful. But we also know it's temporary. Life intrudes, as it always does. Next comes what I have come to believe is the most dangerous phase, early recovery. The pink cloud has faded, and reality has set in. It's treacherous because the individual has put down the drink, but not yet picked up anything in its place. Urges return, cravings reawaken, and suddenly you're staring at a fork in the road. On one path, sustained recovery. On the other, relapse. Many people reach this point thinking, wait, I quit. Why am I still fighting this every day? This is the climax of the journey, the breaking point where the truth begins to surface. And that truth is this: alcohol or drugs were never the real problem. They were the solution you leaned on to manage something deeper. Anxiety, trauma, isolation, frustration, boredom. A host of other names that we apply for what is really a hole in the soul. Whatever it was, the substance was your answer until it became your prison. For those who make it past that fork, a profound realization settles in. You don't just have a drinking problem. You have a medical condition, a disease, a medical reality that makes it impossible to safely use intoxicants again. This is bewildering, even infuriating. You'll ask, why can they drink and I can't? That's normal. But my medical training and my years of seeing patients caught in this endless loop has convinced me of something critical. You didn't cause this, but denying it, that doesn't work. The truth is, if you have alcoholism, addiction, chemical dependency, whatever you want to call it, you have a life sentence. And it's up to you to realize what that really means. It means you now have an opportunity to have a life. But opening this gift that's been given to you requires that you live that life authentically, without the distortion of drink or drugs. The real game changer is this: accepting that life will continue to present challenges, and the remedy is to find new ways to meet those challenges, solutions that don't involve substances. That's when recovery shifts from white-knuckling abstinence to building something new. And here's where our paths begin to diverge again, because the way we rebuild is as individual as our fingerprints. But even in that diversity, similarities remain. After nearly 3 decades of sharing the journey of sobriety with others, I can tell you, the surface details of our lives look wildly different. What is a consuming problem for one person may seem a minor inconvenience for another. The aftermath of our childhoods are all unique. How our cultures molded us can make us seem different from one another. But underneath, there are still remarkable similarities found in those flourishing without alcohol. We share 3 commitments. Number 1, honest introspection. We work to stop lying to ourselves. We strip away self-deception and see reality clearly. 2, connection with others. We learn, often painfully, that connection is the true source of joy. Recovery is not a solo act. And 3, we find a new relationship with our world. We turn outward. From feeling stranded and lost, we begin to experience wonder, curiosity, even adventure in the world around us. Some of us find it in religion, some of us find it in other spiritual practices. We also share that we are imperfect in keeping these commitments, but we keep trying. So with sobriety, the how is different for everyone. The why? It's nearly identical. And with it comes one final shared truth. Every one of us, without exception, had to go through that first night without getting loaded. That single step is the same for all of us. So, do all recoveries look alike? Yes, in the phases, the milestones, and the universal truths. And no, in the way each of us builds a life worth living on the other side. If you're on this path, or even thinking about it, I want you to remember you're not alone. Others have walked it, others are walking it now, and together we can learn from those shared chapters. Do me a favor, hit subscribe, like, and drop a comment below. And share this video with someone who might need it, because sometimes seeing someone's map can make all the difference. Remember, giving up drinking does not mean giving up anything real. It means opening the door to the life you deserve. Check out this other video to discover why a two-list method for getting sober might work for you like it did for me. Until next time, I'm Dr. Donald Crowe. Thanks for watching.